What's up, guys? It's Tommy T, back at it again. What's going on, guys? It's good to see you guys. It's been a week now, and there has been a lot going on with the NBA Allstars, XFL, MLB, all kinds of things. And so with that being said, I really want to get into today with XFL so far, what I've seen from week 1 and week 2, going down deeper into that. NBA teams moving into the postseason, what we can expect from some of these teams, what I expect from these teams, and who will progress, who won't, and moving forward with that. And overall, the top NBA teams that I believe are going to the finals this year, how they can improve, what they're so good at right now that makes them so elite. And yeah. Anyways, XFL we got first, and that is, real quick, I wanted to go back to what I said last week about how I'll be posting new videos Wednesday. That is, I will be posting new videos Wednesdays later. Like, this video right now will probably be out at like 9:30. So it is late on Wednesdays if you guys are tuning in, or if not, just tune in to the morning. Anyways, with the XFL, there's been a lot going on. I feel like this week was like so much better with some of the matchups, and just I feel like we've seen more and just like better plays. I thought there were like a lot of great plays, and just like you see these coaches and their creative minds, and they're really starting to get ahead of it and starting to put that on the teams and games and stuff like that. But anyways, first I want to talk about St. Louis Battlehawks. So far, I think St. Louis has probably the top backs so far, probably best in running back depth. They have 2 of the top 5 in yards currently. They have good blocking at St. Louis. St. Louis defense is not the best, but it's all right. The offense is stacking. Is just so stacked, and just like everything there is, just what revolves around that team is just so on the offense. Everything that team represents is the offense right now. That's what's really getting them going. That's why they're so good. They probably have the most loaded offense, which makes their team very good. One play that I really liked from it that I wanted to point out was the 4-man wideout play, where they pulled out all their tight ends, just put 4 wide receivers. They had the defense going, and they were, the defense thought they were going to go deep, and it ended up turning into a little drop pass to one of the running backs, and a good blocking play to do that, which I thought was awesome and just very clever and stuff. Anyways, their quarterback, Jordan Ta'amu, I believe is what you say, is solid. Kind of like, if I could like give him a grade, probably like B-. He's a good player, but at times he made a couple errors, and hopefully moving forward he could clean that up a bit. But I believe he threw like 2 picks maybe, or maybe just 1, not too sure. But out of all the NFL QBs, I think he reminds me most of Kirk Cousins, where Kirk Cousins is really good with all his offensive weapons when they're in rhythm, when the run game starts going in Minnesota with Dalvin Cook. Along with that, Kirk Cousins can complement the passing game, and all together just brings that team to success. But if that team is out of rhythm, if the run game can't get going, passing just ain't there, then the quarterback like Jordan, he just doesn't have that upper edge quarterbackness to kind of like upper level QB skills to really take advantage of that so far from what I've seen. I think their best player right now is a wide receiver, Mornay Pearsonell. He had 2 like awesome breakout catches that he caught it, and he gained like 15 more yards. So I think we'll be seeing more out of him. I think he is probably, if not the best, definitely top 5 of the receivers in the XFL league. Now, with the Roughnecks, fortunately the Roughnecks started to, started with touchdown, started PJ, or should have had a touchdown with his wide receiver stepped out, whatever, right? But, they eventually ended up winning the game anyways, so it was all good, whatever. But I think PJ looks even better this week. He's definitely probably my favorite QB so far right now. And he definitely seems the most talented, just like how he kind of shuffles around in the pocket, kind of looks for the plays that you think he might be totally down, but like he still survives with that and stuff. But, he's 3rd in yards with 442, close to Jordan Ta'amu and Cordell Jones. This offense, unlike St. Louis, this offense is good because of their QB talent, where the St. Louis's offense is good because of their offensive talent. What I'm trying to say is the really get-go of the Roughnecks offense is based on their quarterback, P.J. Walker, where he could just make those plays that shouldn't have really been made and just give his team an upper edge. I think PJ is by far the best player on the Roughnecks team right now. He reminds me of Deshaun Watson in the NFL. Watson's that guy who can really make those plays that shouldn't be happening. He can stay alive, and even with the breaking down line and just the disorder that might go around in the offense, Watson can still make those killer plays that can really make defense regret things and just wow the audience and just do amazing things. So, PJ Walker, you're like Deshaun to me. The Renegades. So, Dallas Renegades, they throw a pick to start a game, all on the QB. Landry Jones, that just terrible throw. Just like, I mean, it was like right by the guy. It was an easy pick. But what I do see from the Renegades is they do have great run game. I think it might be the best in the game. It seems as if like we saw some runs that went from like 10 to 20 multiple times, which is the most we've seen so far through all these teams. But their running back right now, Cameron Artis Payne, I believe. Cameron Artis Payne, I don't know. But I believe he's the best running back in the game. Just how explosive he is. He ended up getting 2 touchdowns, which was pretty awesome. Just all through him, he was able to get through the defense, and mainly him, not much like because there's some running backs that are good because of the line. He really transitioned his way through. He really gained a lot of yards through a good breakaway, but he also was able to maneuver himself to make that even bigger play, resulting in the touchdowns he got. Anyways, Landry Jones, he's questionable. I mean, he threw 2 picks. I mean, just not a good look, just not what they really need. Luckily, they were able to win that game, but just not good. You just got to be better into that where, you can't do that, but at least finish strong, which is what they did, and they won. But clean that up as the season progresses, and hopefully we can see more improvement from Landry Jones. Landry Jones right now reminds me of Baker Mayfield. He relies more on the short mid-game, dumped it off to his running backs multiple times, and occasionally threw it to, his wideouts on the short game and mid-game. And every once in a while can make those passes where, he's been like this the whole game, and then he throws that one out. Like, what? Okay. Good job. But, yeah, so moving on, we got the LA Wildcats. This team is not good. Their offense is sloppy, but they have quick energy, which can cause them to be explosive at some points. This offense looks like a deep threat team, but what they really need to get into is the deep threat. I've seen a lot of attempts to throw the ball deep, and it seems like that's what the whole team is kind of acquitted to do. That's kind of their goal, is to be that deep passing team, and it just hasn't really happened yet. And what I see from them moving forward is kind of like a Sean McVay kind of offense looking, where with the Rams, LA Rams, and with Jared Goff and stuff, which I believe John Johnson will continue to be more familiar of looking like Jared Goff as it goes on. And with that, I believe their best player is right now Nelson Spruce for 192 yards so far in receiving. He's definitely probably one of the top receivers with DeMornay Pearsonell, who I said earlier. And moving on, Tampa Bay Vipers is by far the worst team we have seen so far. So far, they've made some terrible calls, and their QB has made some terrible decisions. Like that one throw that literally the defender was right there. I get it, you were panicking, but he was right there. He jumped up for the ball, and he just got it in the end zone. Oh my gosh. Just embarrassing. The Tampa Bay probably could have won that game if that didn't happen, or who knows, vice versa. But a lot went on during that game, a lot of fumbling, stuff like that. But, from what I saw from Tampa Bay, something they can rely on during the season is the run game, because I feel like watching that game, you saw like hints of success in the run game, and that's definitely a target they should go on moving forward, especially with the quarterback not being so good, just more relying on the run game, kind of how like the 49ers have been doing it up until the Super Bowl, where Shanahan decided for Grop to pass for some reason, who knows why. But, just rely on that run game, improve that, since the passing hasn't really been quite the best. But, improve on everything you can. That's the goal for any team, right? So, but the best players for the Vipers are probably both of the backs. They kind of get like evenly split. Devon Smith, he had 129 or 125 yards, and Jaquise Patrick with 105. They're both in like top 5 of rushing yards right now, which is awesome. And comparing their QB to an NFL quarterback, I mean, the way he's been playing, he wouldn't even be considered a starter in the NFL at this point. He would be completely out. Just no one in current rosters today in the NFL at for this XFL level and stuff like that. Moving on, we got the Seattle Dragons. Seattle Dragons, I believe, are second, third worst team so far. Their offense is okay. At sometimes good, at sometimes okay, and then at sometimes good, period. Their QB, Brandon Silvers, is a basic QB. Kind of reminds me of Jimmy Garoppolo, with his ability to play. Unfortunately, Brandon Silvers doesn't have nearly as many offensive talents as Jimmy Garoppolo does. But, Seattle's defense has also looked good this game. But again, they played against the worst team so far, the Vipers, and where they almost even lost to them. So, yeah. But, Silvers at this point, is probably their best player anyways, even though I don't think he's the greatest. But he is fourth in passing with 309 yards, and that sure is something. And hopefully he could progress, move forward, and move on from that. Next is the DC Defenders. DC Defenders right now are definitely the best team so far. They have top quarterbacks statistically. You guys know how I am with P.J. Walker right now. But Cordell Jones is incredible too. And really week 2, he's really shown it. I wasn't too fixed on him week 1, but week 2 he really, really hit it. And, everything about their team is just really solid. Their O-line solid, their run game is great, and they have the best defense so far. Everything is great, and they're just so dominant, and it looks like they won't stop being that way. With Cordell Jones, he kind of reminds me of, for the XFL, relating to the NFL, I feel like he's like a Russell Wilson. Kind of works well with what he's got. He works with what he's got, and if not nothing, he just runs the ball, and that's what you got to do. That's just good football. Last but not least, we got the New York Guardians. Guardians seem to look all right week 1. They beat the Vipers. Now we're learning that the Vipers aren't too good, period. But we have discovered they've, they're not that good against other teams where, they had a big loss, but from what we've seen against them and the Defenders, their team's weak compared against these better teams, and they really don't have that spark in the offense that they just can't get the ball past multiple yards, and that I believe they'll definitely be one of the worst in the 8 teams, being one of probably third worst team. I can't really tell, but anyways, QB doesn't really remind me of anybody so far. He kind of probably won't really be starting in the NFL either. And on that team, no player really stands out at this point. No statistical leaders right now. Just nothing for them, unfortunately. But best team so far down the list, I believe, in order, are DC Defenders. I believe DC Defenders are number 1. Houston Roughnecks, roughly number 2. Third, St. Louis Battlehawks. Fourth, Dallas Renegades. Fifth, LA Wildcats. Sixth, Seattle Dragons. Seventh, New York Gladiators. And eighth, Tampa Bay Vipers. Defenders, like I said, they look the best, and I think they will be the best in the end. Below that, Roughnecks, I think they got a shot. They got a shot at being the best for sure. Their division is easy, where they might be able to really hold up the best record, maybe even better than the Defenders, where the Defenders got to go up against St. Louis Battlehawks, and the Guardians, if they pick it up, could be a bit better. But Houston Roughnecks might have the better record, but I believe Defenders are the better team in all. And below with that, St. Louis Battlehawks, they're just going to be battling it out with the Defenders. It's just going to be a back and forth thing. St. Louis Battlehawks are definitely good enough to take down the DC Defenders, and they'll go back and forth, but DC is definitely the better team so far. Let's see if St. Louis can progress. Their quarterback could get better and be able to kick some butt. And then down with that, we got Renegades. I feel like Renegades are going to be that mediocre team that can beat mostly the lesser teams, and maybe almost sometimes beat the better teams like the Battlehawks or the Roughnecks or the Defenders. Maybe they might get lucky, but at the same time, it does seem pretty distant. It seems like the top three, Defenders, Roughnecks, and Battlehawks, are on a complete other level compared to these other teams: Renegades, Wildcats, Dragons, Gladiator, or Guardians, New York Guardians, and Vipers. So, along with that, Renegades, they'll be all right, but they're not going to get too far, and that goes with the rest of these teams down below from them. Anyways, in the NBA, we just had the All-Star break. The All-Star break was awesome. I really loved it. I love seeing the rookie game with Luka, Trae Young, or the youngster game with Luka, Trae Young, and Ja Morant and Zion. I like how they had them do the dunking and stuff, and just like them together. I love the Ja and Zion moment, Ja lobbing it up to Zion. I thought that was awesome. And Luka with the half quarter of that game too was pretty awesome too. That was awesome. And the All-Star game itself was amazing with LeBron, Giannis, and it really seemed like they were having fun and they were actually into it. It probably was with the different ruling, just winning over the quarters than really the game itself. And it just really added more fun because the time was just more down, and just to end the game, you had to win. You had to go up by 24 in honor of Kobe. It was just awesome, And I think really the one who really sparked that idea of like really trying was Giannis, because I think Giannis really just has that personality that he really understands that to really give people a show no matter where he is. He's just that kind of guy who, like, we see him all the time in Milwaukee this season. I mean, Milwaukee's like the best team record-wise so far. That, they got Giannis as the big man, and Giannis always seems to show up. Obviously he wants to win, but we also see during the All-Stars, he doesn't just want to win, but I truly believe that he also wants to give these fans, give these viewers something to really see and enjoy and be entertained by, where, people from all over Europe, Greece, whatever, go to see him because now they're so into Giannis because, they're familiar with him, just living in Greece and stuff like that. And inspiring them. And I feel like Giannis really understands that, and he's really the one who really sparked that energy and started off and just going all at it, and it was pretty awesome. Anyways, I want to talk about from what we've seen during the regular season of basketball so far, moving on to the postseason playoff mode, and where these teams are, and for the rest of the time where these teams are headed, and their shots in the postseason. So in the East, oh yeah, and I'm gonna grade these, by the way. So these are my grades for these teams. So the Bucks, I give an A plus of getting into the finals. I truly believe in the East that the Bucks will go all the way and go to the finals. You know, the East was definitely way easier than the West. You know, you could take I would take, other than the Bucks, I would take who? Let's see, I would take Nuggets over Raptors. I would take, Clippers over Raptors. Maybe even Jazz or something like that, or Jazz over Celtics and stuff like that. It's just so loaded down in the West and stuff like that. It's pretty crazy. But anyways, I give Bucks an A+. They're clearly the best team in the East. But with that being said, I don't think they're the best team in the league. But we'll get back into that. Raptors, I give a B. They're big boys, not big players. They all complement each other, well coached, and have a top 10 defense by far. But not enough with that key player like they had last year. It's just not enough for them. Kawhi was so clutch for them. Kawhi really gave them the leverage of really staying in there with that final shot, which is still iconic, which they've played going into the season still. I mean, that shot, not the NBA Finals, but it was a regular playoff game, because that was so legendary, and that's what really kept them in, won them the series again against the Sixers, I believe. And Raptors just barely made it there, and they're not going to have enough to make finals this year. Celtics, I give a B-, similar to Toronto and how their coaching is and the kind of plays that can be developed by this team. But their defense is poor, and with that, it just simply doesn't give them to get to them to be a finals team. For this year, they're just not a finals team. But in the years moving forward, keeping those players same roster, since they're very young, they could really be really good with moving forward with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum just absolutely dominating right now, and hopefully progressing to be even better top 10 players, top 10, top 15 players to really boost their team up. Miami Heat, I give a B. I mean, Jimmy can really get those buckets on this team, But the problem with the Heat is their defense is at times questionable. On one half you got Jimmy and Bam Adebayo. Having the ability to make those big defense players is a big factor, but the problem lies with mostly everyone else, where they don't have the physicality. They're more of the smaller guys. They don't have the defensive effort to really take it all the way and get really far. 76ers, I give a B for right now. Only because the Sixers defense is no doubt stable with big man himself, Joel Embiid, leading that defense in his role and helping everybody else out. But the problem lies in their offense with Benny Boy Simmons being the flashy kid that he is, but not being able to step up out and get quite out of that youngster phase yet, and becoming a big man as well as being a major three-point threat. On the other hand, Joel Embiid is clearly a big-time threat, whether you think so or not. But without Jimmy Butler like they had last year, where Jimmy Butler really took the reins on the team and kind of led them to where they were last year, Joel's just not fit for that. He just feels more comfortable just being that two-man option, just complimenting that one resort guy. And, Joel's just really been struggling this season so far of being that first resort guy. But if they can prove themselves, I would give them more of a B plus, more of an even A minus, more like A minus if they could really get going with at least better improvement of Joel and Simmons and just their play together and just like together with the team. The rest of the teams in the East along with that, I see nothing that can really get them forward. Honestly, Bucks, Raptors, Celtics, Heat, and Sixers are really the ones that can really be quite threatening, but the rest of the teams just aren't quite there, and from what I see. And anyways, moving on, we got teams from the West. Now, teams from the West are the Lakers. Lakers, I give an A. The Lakers, in my opinion, are the second best team in the West, with King James leading that team. It will be no surprise if he can pull off the amount of effort to get to the finals, as we've seen before with him and the Cavaliers and those boys along with him. But that being said, LeBron does have his limits for the amount of work and effort he can pull out. After all, we're all human, right? At a certain point, LeBron does have to get off the court. And the real question that lies is, can the Lakers manage to get that same workload? Can even AD himself pull the team together like James can? That's really the question that we're looking at with the Lakers moving forward. They're the number one seed right now, 41-12, but will they even stay that way? Denver Nuggets are close behind. Clippers are close behind, many teams. I do believe Lakers will stay in that spot. We'll see as it goes forward. But after all, we still got another half of basketball to go. And, they got to figure it out. Just play better defense. It seems like the defense just can get so much better. They're clearly great on offense. It's just that defense that they got to get a hold of. Denver Nuggets, I give them a B+. Denver's clearly a great team, led by the almighty Goliath sharpshooter himself, Nikola Jokic, or as well known as the Joker. But the placement of this team is deceiving to only the reason of the Clippers and their wacky load management, and that costs them the spot where the Clippers should be 2 or maybe even 1 right now with the potential they have on that team. But we'll get more into that later. Where on the contrast, the Nuggets have used greatly most of all their potential to get where they are. And with that, they simply just don't have enough to really take down the bad boy teams of the Lakers and the Clippers of getting to the finals. Next is the Clippers. Clippers, I give an A. The Clippers, in my opinion, are by far the best team. I say by far with what they have achieved in the midst of having to deal with not having their star players, Kawhi and PG, at every point of their journey so far. And even without them, other players on their team have proven to play well, even without their starters. It's definitely a better situation of the fact that they know where they are and they know that they're functional and can get a good workload without their main guys than compared to the Lakers, where the Lakers are trying to figure out if they can manage without the main guys. Now the Clippers just have to get used to having these main guys on the courts more often and making that workload even greater, because so much greatness is on the courts more, where I think we'll see that going into, if not back into the next half of the season, into the postseason. It just depends on what Doc Rivers wants to do, how he wants to manage this team. I know Paul George is a bit questionable with his hamstring. Maybe just have Kawhi take care with them so far, or just see where they could go. I believe that they won't drop down anywhere less than the 3 seed, but the question is, can they climb up to the 2 or maybe the 1? We'll see. But moving forward, I think they're the best team right now. They have the most potential, and they're I really do trust in Doc Rivers on this one, and I hope I'm right. Anyways, next team with that, I've got the Jazz, giving them a B+. Rudy and Don have been quite impressive, and the Pacers along with that. They can be very slumpy, but at the same time, they can be very explosive in just a snap. They're so great, but they just don't have enough to be called on into the finals. Rockets, I give them a B+ as well. The Rockets with James Harden and Russell Westbrook, the homeboys back at it again. The problem lies in the fact where they cannot use their talents at the right time effectively for the team and the game. These guys can get hot and keep on scoring, but in the end, with questionable defense and the fact that getting hot just means they're playing good at a certain point in the game or in a game, doesn't mean they could keep the fire going. And it seems like more like the fire starts randomly and instantaneously than intentionally, where they really have to get it going, get it grooving, and get explosive, where they're not consistently all the way going through. Moving on, Thunder. I don't really see Thunder going really that far. I give Thunder a B-. Chris Paul and a younger team, that's about it. This team is young, wild, and they got Chris Paul. That's about it. But they don't have the pieces around there. They don't have the players. They just won't really get far in the playoffs. Now, finally, the Mavs. Mavs are pretty insane. They got Luka Doncic, who's killing it, and he's a stud, and he's just amazing. Him and his 2-man Porzingis are great, as well as the rest of the Mavs players. But it seems if they are missing just one more piece, I feel like just just better bench. Just add on to that. But they're pretty great anyways. But what I really want to see is, I'm talking a solid 3-player or maybe even a 2-man. Porzingis is good, but I see more of him, especially at this point, just not being the guy who he was before, just really becoming that 3-man, more like how back in 2013 Miami Heat with LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. I feel like Porzingis will be better off being more of a Chris Bosh than being the Dwayne Wade for Luka, who will be the LeBron on that team. But and anyways, the other teams below with that, I don't really see them really coming up with anything to do so. But anyways, finally, I've got the top 3 teams I believe will make the finals. One in the East, I believe that will go all the way, no doubt about it, is the Milwaukee Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks have the best record right now, and with that, like I said earlier, I don't think the Bucks are the best team. There's been statistical data. I saw this post or whatever that the last 8 teams that came from the season that went onto the Allstar break. over like 40 wins or whatever, and 7 out of the 8 ended up winning the finals. But the thing about the Bucs is their conference. The conference isn't that good compared to the Western Conference, where there's way more competition, and you still got the teams like the Lakers who are still just above and beyond with where they are, and Nuggets, Clippers not falling too far behind either. So I think the Bucs will breeze through the Eastern Conference, but with the Western Conference, that will be tough for them. Pros statistically to Milwaukee so far is their points. They got first in points, they got first in rebounds, they got second field goals, second blocks, and fifth in three-pointers made. These statistics are insane. They average about 119 points per game. Rebound 52 most. Field goals second, 48%. Just insane. And so moving on to the Lakers, I believe Lakers are the third best of these teams. I really do. Pros of the Lakers, their assists, they're fourth in assists, average about 26